Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we have an exciting episode for you with a Kickstarter creator who's raised over $79,000 from more than 2,800 backers. This is for Keepods. This is a father-son duo team that went into this project having never launched an e-commerce product before, having never done a Kickstarter campaign, and they've knocked it out of the park with this one. So they came on the show because they actually listened to this show. This is a great example of someone who listens to this podcast and decided then to launch their product, and now they're coming back on to share those wisdom, crowdfunding nuggets of gold, right, with you in terms of what worked for them. How did they get a rush of funding within the first couple of days? How did they continue to trend well and have an upward trajectory? You're going to discover that and more on today's podcast episode. The other thing you're going to kind of get a little bit of insight into, in my opinion, is the workings of a very strong team, right? So when we think of launching a new product, Keepods is an incredible innovation and product idea, but at the end of the day, you can't bring something to life just on your own, right? And even if you do have a business partner, like at some point in time, you're going to need to involve other people, whether that's manufacturing and logistics of the supply chain, whether that's the fulfillment side of things, and our sponsor when it comes to that, or the marketing side of things. You're going to have to involve other people. And success is not dependent on you being the smartest person. It's not dependent on you even having the most resources. The people who are successful are the ones who can build a team around their project, their product idea, and their company vision. And they have people who have from diverse skill sets that are working together, that are marching to the same drum, and they're working basically towards the same common vision. That, at the end of the day, is what leads to success. I hope you take a little bit of lessons away today from today's podcast, not only how to do it yourself, how to put one foot in front of the other, step 1, 2, 3, 4, going from A to Z as quickly as possible with launching a new product or launching a Kickstarter campaign. I really hope that you take that away. But in addition, pay attention to the way that a team interacts and how they all bring and add their different value to this particular equation, right? So the Kickstarter launch formula works. I've proven it time and time again. It works to get a product funded. But one of the things that I haven't really shed too much light on, right, with the Kickstarter launch formula is that it works even faster when you have other people that are involved helping you out. So you're going to hear from Zab, who is my project manager. She's kind of like the backbone of any successful or any killer Kickstarter campaign. To me, she's a little bit of a fail-safe. She's the person who's going to tell you to dot your I's and cross your T's and make sure you have everything squared away. You have all your ducks in a row before you hit that launch button. She's super nitty-gritty, detail-oriented, systematic thinker, and she'll just really tell you as it is, right? So it's very important to have someone with a strong attention to detail when you're launching a new product, because you might forget about shipping, you might forget about add-ons, you might forget about this or that, right? And that can lead to logistical nightmares in the future. The other person I brought on today's podcast, in addition to the father-son team, which I'll introduce to you in just a second, is Artem. Now, Artem's kind of like a bit of a brainiac. He's a wild guy when it comes to knowing the ins and outs of Facebook analytics and like a super in-depth understanding of data analytics and how to get Facebook ads working. So he's a very talented person and also kind of a funny guy, honestly. He's a great personality. So you're going to hear from him as well and some of his insights. And a great team to me is kind of like, it's almost like a rock tumbler, right? A rock tumbler, you put in a couple of different rocks into this tumbler, it whizzes around, and when it comes out, they're all really smooth and well polished, right? The end product is greater than the sum of the parts. And that's the same thing for every really stellar or well-oiled machine or any kind of team that has a lot of great synergy. So I don't want to talk too much about it now. Let's get into the podcast. It's coming up right after this. This podcast episode is sponsored by The Gadget Flow. The Gadget Flow reaches over 28 million people, and they've been around since 2012. They are Indiegogo and Kickstarter experts. They featured over 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns, and if you have a technology or design campaign, it is a great platform to generate awareness and get backers. You can check them out at thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Hi.
Definitely, man. Whereabouts are you guys hailing in from?
We're located in Tel Aviv, in Israel.
And kind of when you were first approaching me, I know that you guys were thinking about doing this product for a while for Keepods. Do you think we can kind of get started? Maybe you can tell listeners a bit about the story of how you came up with the idea behind this, and then we can get into some other questions?
Yeah, sure. So the point is, I love running with music, but music is great, but only when it flows. And I always had this problem with the earbuds. They will fall, shift and fall while running. So people who share this problem with me, they'll know that you'll never be able to buy the earbuds that you want. You will have to choose those that more or less will work. And so finally, I decided I would buy a more expensive ones to see how it goes. And still the same problem. Then the problem became an obsession. And it was while running that I have this idea. So the idea was to have some web, very, very flexible web that will secure your earbuds while running.
And whenabouts did you have this idea? When were you thinking this through?
It was right while running. You know, there's something in the mind when you're running that every problem got a solution when you're running. And so I came home and I had to do it to just create this using the structure of your ear to create something flexible that will help secure your earbuds.
Was this about a year ago, or was this like 2 years ago? When it comes to the timeline, when was this happening?
Yeah, well, this was pretty much a year ago that we started throwing up ideas and how to fix this problem.
And do you guys have a past with like designing products before, or was this the first one that you've worked on?
Well, you know, I have a background for well, first of all, I studied art that has to be an architecture, which has to be with design, but I also work about 30 years designing jewelry. What's funny that things for the ear as well.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's very interesting, and that's why it's also from the beginning. It was very, very important for both of us that the design and the color be the right one. So people will not only get fixed the problem, but they'll be happy to wear our products.
Yeah, definitely. When you were selling jewelry, are you selling that online? Are you selling that to people around you? How are you selling the jewelry you were making?
Well, that's in South America, in Venezuela. It started making it at home. By hand, but with time I had a factory, a manufacturer and a chain of stores, and was always using special materials to make like seeds and natural things to make jewelry.
That is so interesting. Yeah, I noticed that also with the design of Keepods is like there's almost like a nature kind of quality behind it. Even some of your photos, I think, are kind of in line with that. So you basically have been selling jewelry physically. Have you ever done any online selling before?
No, not at all. Not at all. That's where Joel comes with that idea of using Kickstarter and working online.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much where I stepped in.
And how did that come about?
So I've always liked the Kickstarter platform, and I've always been looking for a project, something I can work on, and so my father came with this idea, and I actually thought it had really like a great potential for solving a big problem, and so we teamed up and started working and doing the homework to actually launch a campaign. And yeah, it's pretty much it.
You were also in a lot of like the photos and these kinds of things. You were also trying out the product, I imagine, a lot, Joel.
Yeah. I'm also I also run a bunch, so it was pretty good. Also I tried it for almost. I mean, from the minute we started prototyping, we both used it on ourselves. And people started, I mean, we got friends and family that also wanted to get their hands on Keepods and actually have the same problem.
believe me, hundreds of prototypes with different colors, different shapes, until we got what we thought was a good enough product to.
When you started to show this to some of your friends and family there, what was the reaction like when they first tried the initial prototypes?
They were impressed.
Yeah, I bet.
They were impressed because, for the way we work, it was so important that it looks great also. So from the beginning, even if it was the first one was made at home with raw materials but they looked great. They always look great, and kind of strange. It's not. It's something new. It's really something new to wear something on your ear as a cloth. It's a pretty new idea.
Yeah, definitely. And it's obviously gotten a lot of attention. I mean, we can get into that in just a bit. I just have like one other question on the development front there. So Joel, like it seems like your skill set is kind of leaning more into marketing the more that you're getting into this. Is that kind of what you're liking the most of the process so far, or where do you find yourself falling there?
Yeah, well, I actually like both, but honestly, yeah, I've actually listened to your podcast and getting all the insights I've been able to find through the internet, and yeah, I've been pretty much managing the whole campaign, starting from the pre-launch all the way to now.
That's awesome, man.
I don't think it's not only it's not that that's what he likes, because he helped me a lot with the design as well. It's just that part I just know nothing about, and I really didn't understand it, and I really needed his help in all this technical new way of work.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, it's the same thing as offline selling. It's just people, right? People who are discovering you except using new online marketing tools. Hey Zab, one question for you. So when we first brought this project to you and you were able to see Keepods, what was your first reaction to seeing the product?
I was super excited. Like Joel and his father, I'm a runner occasionally, and my earbuds like always fall out. So when I saw the product, I was just so excited to have a solution to that.
And it's so simple too, right? It's like really easy. It's like one of those things it's a surprise, like no one's thought of it before, but and such a utility I think behind it too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea. It's easy to use, and I agree with you. I saw it and I was like, wow, why isn't this on the market? Why haven't we done this before?
Yeah, definitely. So like the entire team was really excited about what you guys had created. And that's kind of, I think, around the time when we started to first work together, right? Or thereabouts. Is that right, Joel?
Yeah.
So in the early days here, I think there's a lot of like thinking that happens behind the scenes, right? And you're trying to figure out, are people going to like this product? Are there going to be trolls that can hate on it, right? And the beginning period is just like trying to get the word out there, right? With the pre-launch. What was that like when you first started to get people like in the door and hearing about it and messaging you, leaving comments, all that kind of stuff?
Well, at the beginning, we thought that having a video will be enough. I mean, that will be pretty much it, and then we could just start our campaign. And luckily, I started digging deeper and realized that the video was pretty much just the tip of the iceberg. So we started creating kind of a community that are willing to buy our product and are really interested in our idea. And I mean, the feedback was just awesome. I mean, we got all this
people leaving comments, saying that they loved it. Where can they buy it?
Facts, new ideas. It was a great experience.
Yeah. What did that feel like when you first started to have those initial comments tumble in, and rather than it being like, oh, this is so dumb, people are like, this is incredible. Where can I get this? What did that feel like?
Well, for me, it's a dream.
That's awesome, dude.
For me, it's unbelievable. It's one thing is having your family and friends support, but having this incredible recognition and support of people that you don't know, that you don't even know where they are. It's amazing.
Was it kind of surprising to you, or did you expect that level of response?
Uh, it was a surprise. I really believed in my product, but you never know if other people will see it the way you see it, or the way family see it, and it was kind of surprise.
Yeah, yeah, and like I think until the product idea initially comes in contact with the market, you really don't know. It's like it's all guesswork, right? And you
Well,
think you're doing well, but you're not sure until it really comes in contact there.
yeah, and not only that. I mean, you need to believe and love your product, and you need a lot of passion, because in the way you always find people that just don't agree. They don't see it the way you see it, and since you're not that secure, it's hard to be secure. That this really can hit you. So you really have to believe and love what you do.
Yeah, I'll say all the feedback we got from our pre-launch campaign definitely gave us a lot of motivation to keep working hard on our project and actually bring it to life.
Yeah, it's definitely inspiring and motivating. There's also obviously the technical side behind the pre-launch, and I know you were working a lot with Artem on that. How were you guys working together on the pre-launch there?
Well, so Artem, do you want to start or do you want to?
Artem, you there?
I think you can start, and then I'm gonna add up some things.
Okay, so we started by thinking pretty much how the ads are gonna look and what's the structure gonna be, and which kind of people are gonna be interested in our product. And yeah, so we together with Artem we created a strategy that build traffic to our web page, to a page, a landing page, and finally all the way to a VIP group on Facebook. That was the most exciting thing ever because we got a lot of feedback and support from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Artem, if you could shed more light on the strategy there a bit.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to the Facebook ads, there are like a lot of misconceptions around it, and also like it's quite easy for people to access the platform. So a lot of advertisers, even if they never run ads before, they just like throw something out there, and then it doesn't work for them, and then they say like Facebook ads don't work. So normally, if you want the ads to succeed, you need to have a sort of a preparation. Like you need to get the creatives ready, you need to have like a proper ad copy, the proper headlines that's gonna resonate with your potential leads, customers. And also you need to do like a little bit of an audience research to see who's gonna be most likely to take an action, right? So you spend a lot of time at the beginning to have a solid foundation. And then once everything is like running and bringing results, then you just kind of like spend less time on it to optimize things once in a while or like update the audiences. So it worked quite well in Keepods case because we started to get a lot of leads right away, but they were not at the lowest cost per lead yet. So then once we started to like optimize things and introduce some more audiences and train the pixel, then that's when our costs went down even more. So then like if you dedicate more time into it for the building a solid foundation, if you have more time to run the ads, then that's where you're gonna get like real results.
And for one quick follow-up question for you, Artem, a lot of people are not familiar with the way the Facebook pixel works. So when you say train the Facebook pixel, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so normally you need to install like a code on your website that's gonna be connected to Facebook in a way. So that code is gonna trace everything that people are doing on your website. So it's gonna know exactly like who is taking an action, who is visiting your website, and what do they do afterwards.
Cool but creepy.
So
yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a little bit creepy, but it's just a way for them to and maybe not even this is creepy. What's more creepier is when some advertisers, they utilize this technology and then they start to run like a remarketing ads saying like, hey, you left something in your cart, come back and buy.
Yeah, it's like following you around.
Yeah, that's like a super creepy, because you go on Facebook and then someone says, hey, you like added this card to your like card, but you didn't buy. Like, why you didn't buy? Come back and buy. So that's like quite creepy as for me, but actually it works.
Yeah.
So it's more like interactions you can have with the customer on the ads, as higher the chance they're gonna convert.
Awesome.
So what I meant by a trained pixel is when you start running ads, the pixel is gonna gather all of this data, right, about your leads, about website visitors. So once there is like sufficient amount of data collected, then it's more like a trade. It's not like a rookie pixel anymore. It's like a veteran pixel, which knows exactly who is most likely to become a lead.
Yeah,
So
you want a veteran pixel for sure.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this, Joel, I mean, you were doing all of the implementation here, right? You were the one who was actually in the Facebook ad manager, updating things with the help of Artem, and you were kind of leading the charge. I'm sure that gave you like a lot of confidence and such, but had you done Facebook ads before, or had you played around with it a bit?
Well, all the experience I got was pretty much with you guys, and I did my research beforehand and read a lot about it from the internet, but I didn't do like something I didn't work on that subject before, and yeah, well, it was great to see such good results. And we also got a lot of feedbacks from the ads themselves. We got comments and stuff like that I will answer in a daily basis. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, doing these surveys, being able to post in the group, getting people to comment, their thoughts and stuff. It's really rare that you see a physical product with such a huge following and people waiting basically outside the door to buy this thing, right? It's really rare. I think there's that kind of emotional connection that you guys developed.
Well, it makes me feel that I want to send them. I want to send them the Keepods tomorrow. I would love them to have them right now and tell me how they like them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also I know alongside while this was happening, you were also working with Zab, right, on the actual Kickstarter page. Do you think you can talk a little bit about that and any of the changes that went about there? Are you looking for help with the fulfillment side of your rewards on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or any other crowdfunding website? Fulfillrite is literally the gold standard when it comes to crowdfunding reward fulfillment. These guys will help you ship out your products, your packages, your orders to all of your customers and your backers. They've been working in this industry for a really long time. I totally vouch for their services, and they'll even do things like answer simple questions for you on fulfillment and shipping and figuring out how to get your products into the hands of your customers in the easiest way possible. If you're interested in learning more about them, you can go to fulfillrite.com or crowdcrux.com/fulfillrite, and that will take you to them. Again, that is FULFILLRITE.com.
Yeah, so before starting working with you guys, we had a pretty basic Kickstarter page. I mean, we have a pretty basic knowledge in design, but graphic design is not something we studied. So when we team up with you guys, we completely I mean, we started changing the way that it looked and making it more customer friendly and explaining it in a more clear way.
Also, you have to remember that English is not our language. For us, I think that the way we write in English, although it makes sense, people understand, is not as cool as what you guys wrote in the page later on, and it will not work the same way.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that barrier, but it didn't seem like it really stopped you at all. Zab, when it came to the page, what would you say are like one or two things that we did that kind of out in your mind, whether that's helping with the rewards or how do you feel like we contributed value there?
So as they were already mentioning, we went and we did like a copy edit on there just to kind of help improve the language and really make it more customer friendly and just draw people in even more to get them excited about Keepods. And then other than that, I mean, they already had fantastic graphics and, such good images. I don't think we did anything much on the graphic side, just cleaning up some of the more technical details, making sure the timeline was accurate, that kind of stuff. But in general, they had a really well put together Kickstarter campaign.
There's also a lot of functionality people don't know about with Kickstarter, right? So one of the things was the time-based rewards. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Kickstarter, one of the great features is that you can set a time limit on rewards so that you don't have to, personally monitor it and cut it off at a certain time. You can set a date and then all your backers can see when that reward is going to expire, and you can set it up ahead of time. So once we knew what our launch date was, I was able to go in and set up the rewards so that, the super early bird would last for 3 days, the early bird would last for a week, and then it was just to the normal price. So it's really nice to be able to set that up ahead of time.
Yeah, and from what I understand, you and Joel were kind of working together to top up the rewards there and to like manage the page a bit as well when you guys were going live.
Yeah. So at the beginning, in the first 3 days, I think I didn't get that much of sleep. Yeah, I was pretty much awake through all night since the hours here are different to our audience. So I had Zab helping me out and giving me some extra hours to sleep and rest.
Yeah, you guys are like a tag team. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say that what worries the most, Joel, was that everyone in that list will get the special prize that he promised. And he wanted to be sure that they'll be able to get the right price.
That's incredible. I mean, that just is such a huge testament to your values as a company, I think that's awesome, man.
Thanks.
And, also it says a lot about your dedication to building a brand that people trust and that people want to help out as well, right? I mean, you had a ton of people even replying to your survey wanting to help you spread the word, I remember.
Yeah, that was so good. I mean, we actually sent out a survey, and without promoting it or anything like that, we just received like a giant feedback, a giant amount of people that answered it and gave us recommendations and told us that they love our product and would love to keep on promoting it by their social channels. And we actually chose their colors based on their preferences. Yeah, so we chose our colors based on what they say in the survey.
So I want to talk a tiny bit about the live campaign, but before we do, based on your experience, if you could look back and be like, okay, the pre-launch was going to go this way, was there anything that you would have done differently or any advice that you have about that pre-launch period?
Well, my advice would be doing your homework before you go live. So I think that having a good idea is not always enough to have a successful campaign. So before pressing the go live button on the Kickstarter page, make sure that you do your homework well and you're prepared and you have like this group of people that are ready to support you right from the beginning, and that everything's ready for you from the moment you go live.
Yeah, it's definitely a big undertaking in making sure that you have like all of your ducks in a row when it comes to that. Would your father add anything to that?
Well, I could say about choosing choosing a crowdfunding as opposed to any other way of selling a product. And I think it's a great platform when you're looking for support and recognition for your product. It's the right one. We thought about selling in other ways, and people will also always think maybe this not the best product for Amazon, or it is, but in crowdfunding, people just recognize your product and wanna support.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, also they're going to get it a bit later than they would if you bought it in Amazon. So you have more time to do the fulfillment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another big difference there. So when you go live and like you get a bunch of funding, you're then starting to trend well, you start having your Facebook ads going. I'm sure that's kind of like a bit of a surreal feeling. Like, what did your family and friends think when you're talking about this campaign and now like you have 2,000 people or whatever the crazy number is there?
Well, I've been talking about my project since we started thinking about going to Kickstarter. So my friends have been getting all this talk about Kickstarter and getting all dizzy about how much I talk about my project. But I think that they were so surprised that it's actually something real and it's doing so well. And yeah, I mean, I'm super happy that I'm lucky that I have such a supportive friends and family that really helped us push our product through our closed circle. I mean,
Well, I have to say my wife, she was supportive since the beginning, and she's studying and working, but she spent more time now just looking at the phone, at the campaign, and watching the numbers.
yeah, I've got like this bunch of friends that every morning they say, "Whoa, look at your number." They're like keeping track of our fund so far.
That's so cool. I mean, I'm looking at your community tab on Kickstarter. You have people from UK, Canada, US, Australia, Germany, like a lot of people who are outside of Israel, right? So
Yeah.
you've really been able to do something that strikes a chord internationally to a degree.
Yeah, we have based on our analytics, we got about 47 countries looking at our project and pledging and backing us up. So that was also a crazy feeling. I mean, we never thought that we'll get so far from our home, and people backing us and supporting us. So that's been also great.
So I want to ask you in a second here, like where you're thinking of going with the project and things that people can expect. I think it's the next 20 days here or so. But before we do, I wanted to ask Zab, with some of the other project creators that are listening, what do you think are one or two items that we consistently see people not paying enough attention to with the campaign page or with the logistical process or rewards? Do you have any thoughts on that?
That's a great question.
One of the things that comes to mind when it comes to rewards is just kind of pricing them out, right? Like putting together a spreadsheet and being like, if we hit this amount, this is how it impacts the costs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely something that people need to pay attention to, that, obviously they want to raise money, but every time someone's ordering a reward, they have to fulfill it. So they need to make sure that they've priced it appropriately, that they can fulfill all the rewards that people end up ordering without losing money.
Also, like add-ons, right? if it's something that people want to add that's like a new thing to the Kickstarter's platform, or thinking about shipping, like that's not even, talked about very much, I think, in the public consciousness there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are both really important points. Indiegogo's had add-ons, I think, for a while, and it's just become a new feature on Kickstarter. And I think that's a great way for people to help keep the momentum on their campaign going, to add in an add-on partway through, and that it also gives people the option of, customizing their rewards, which I think people are really into. But it's something to put thought into. And yeah, as you mentioned, shipping, it's just so easy to forget about that, being excited about the product and the buzz that you're getting, that you don't remember that, I have to ship these and that's going to cost something.
And before I just ask you like a final question or two here, Joel, when it comes to the marketing side, Artem, you've worked on a couple of projects here. Do you think that there's anything people should be aware of? Should they be starting with like, okay, I don't know how to market this, but maybe I'll start to think about the audiences, or I need to think about the way of positioning this? Do you have any advice there for people when it comes to the marketing front?
Yeah, I think the most important is to always test things. So even like for the Facebook ads, you also have a landing page, right? So the landing page should convert at an optimal level as well. So that's like one of the things that you need to test all the time. And it's like really difficult to predict in advance how well your marketing campaigns are gonna go, unless you like start to put in real money at the marketplace and showing your ads to real people. So then, you should not be kind of like discouraged if you do not get great results right away. You should like treat it as a process. So if at the beginning it's not going quite well, like you should not like give up right away. Because I've seen a lot of companies, they give up on Facebook ads or Google ads way too easily, like way too fast, because they just tried it out a little bit and then it didn't work. So they say, okay, it doesn't work fast. So I think there is like this is like the biggest kind of issue I've seen everywhere, all over other industries as well. So,
Yeah.
so that's I think the most important is to always like allocate some funds for testing and to not be discouraged from like initial kind of like small failures or not so good results, but keep on pushing, keep on finding what works, keep on testing different audiences, different ads, like different messaging, different landing pages, till you reach your like optimal level of bringing new leads or new customers.
Yeah, and even just discovering like the images that are doing well that you might not even realize, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one of your really great images there is someone holding Keepods, and it's almost like a scroll stopping image. The one that's on your thumbnail right there.
Yeah. So we actually, it was a complete surprise that was the picture that got the most attention. So we during our ads, we actually gave enough budget to test different pictures. So we decided to throw an extra pictures just to see how
would
they
happen,
go.
Yeah,
what will happen. And suddenly we got great feedback out of one of the pictures that we didn't think that it would go so well.
My fingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can be a hand model, man.
Yeah.
Next gig 2.0. From jewelry to hand model. This is so awesome, and I really love the way that you guys are working together as a father-son team as well to bring the project to light. Where are you thinking of taking this? I mean, you've basically gone from the offline world, selling jewelry and doing art and architecture design, to now having your first product you're selling online pretty well. Like, where do you guys see this going? Do you want to come out with new products? Are you going to kind of keep pushing with Keepods? What do you think about that?
Well, our first priority is making sure we deliver on time and in the best
Manufacturing.
and we do our best in our quality and satisfy our backers.
Yeah, and the way I see it, I think Kickstarter will be our best business card for the future. I think that Keepods has a lot of potential out of Kickstarter as well. But for your question, we really enjoy the project, and we love to just do this, just invest. We actually have more ideas that we want to start working on, and that's what I would love to do as work.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. So my final question for you here, we're going to go down the line kind of and ask this question. For someone who's listening to this show, they're hearing your incredible success story. They're like, this guy has raised so much money. There's no way that I could do that. I think it's really easy to get intimidated, right? If we could speak directly to the listeners, do you have one final tip, word of encouragement, bit of advice, or anything you'd like to leave with someone who's right now in that beginning stage that you were in, where they have the prototype and they're like, maybe I should launch this, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. Do you have anything that you want to say to them? And we can kind of go down the line here, starting with Joel.
I think that if you're passionate enough on your project and your idea, so you should definitely at least start by doing a pre-launch campaign and trying to get like some social proof and do their market research and actually start getting feedback. Are people actually interested in my idea? And what do they think? And from our pre-launch campaign, we started getting all this feedback, and that actually made us more confident on keep on working hard and investing on our project.
And does your father have anything to add to that one?
Well, yes, I would say that for me, it's personal. The most important thing is really pick a project you love. And the way Joel said, you have passion, because you really need, you will find people that won't like it or won't think like you. And you need a lot of energy, and you have to, in my case, finding projects that you just would like to have. Imagine things that you would like to have, but they does not exist. So you have to make it.
Very well said. I think that's super inspirational. Zab, do you have anything to add in terms of a final tip, word of encouragement, or anything you'd like to pass on to the people listening?
Yeah, I definitely say that if people have an idea and they're excited about it and passionate, as Joel and Rafael have mentioned, that not to be overwhelmed by it, that it sounds so daunting. I mean, you're going to do pre-launch, you have to get a Facebook group, there's an email list. Don't be overwhelmed by all of that. Just take it like step by step, like one piece at a time, and you can definitely do it. It's all possible, and it can be achieved.
And last one for you, Artem. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, you should not like give up too easily, right? Because if it's like a project that you want to bring to life, it's more like your dream, right? Like it's something you envisioned in your mind that people are going to use this product and they're going to like it. So if you are really like starting to work on this project, like don't be discouraged right away by not knowing many things or by not getting the results right away. You should like keep on pushing and keep on trying. That's how all the big companies came to life through like a lot of hard work and no one like thought about giving up because something was not working in the first week, right? So it's like I think it's the most important, because if you have this kind.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, definitely.
I would say take the advantage of the knowledge of people like you that will help you and guide you in this process.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And, honestly, guys, like the whole reason I put out these podcasts is to help people out there that, don't necessarily even want to, hire a company. They want to do it themselves. You now can learn from a lot of these other podcast episodes as well when it comes to how to do that. So, Joel, thank you so much. And for your father for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to see you guys doing well in the next 20 days. And for anyone who wants to check it out, you can just go to Keepods, put that into Kickstarter, KEEPODS, and you'll come up with the project. But thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Again, my name is Salvador Briggman. If you have any follow-up questions that you'd like to ask, you can always email info@crowdcrux.com. or support@crowdcrux.com. Those are great places to get started if you want to learn a little bit more about kind of what went into this project, right? And I think it's really exciting. It's just, to me, an incredible, phenomenal example of a product that comes from idea all the way to physical reality, which is so exciting, right? To hear the story behind that. And it just really lights me up. But the other thing that I'm testing out and I'm trying out is I want to give you my phone number. I want to be able to let you text, and if you want to call and leave a voice message with me. So I'm going to give you a phone number. And if you write this down, you add this to your contacts, that way you can send me a text message and I'll receive it there. So the phone number is 857-365-6491. That's 857-365-6491. 857-365-6491. If you go there, you can then text me, you can give me a call. And if you have any questions when it comes to this project or other ones, would be love to, do a conversation there and we can see how that goes. Again, this is a new thing that I'm trying out. So we'll see how this goes. And this will be really interesting, I think, me as well, to interact a bit more with the community and you who are listening at home, a way to get beyond just listening to this podcast and start taking a little bit of action, right? To start really getting this idea out of your head onto the page, or if you already at that point where you have a prototype, beginning to think about the ramp up period that's going to go into a successful crowdfunding campaign. So lastly, that number is 857-365-6491. Thank you for joining me on the show. My name is Sal, and I will see you next time.